Welcome to the Supplier Spotlight Interview. We're happy today to be talking with Tarek Shahla, Chief Operations Officer at Rasco. Welcome.
Marty, thank you so much for having me.
It's good to talk to you about FR today. So, uh, tell us a little bit about Rasco. Give us the elevator pitch so that our listeners are going to be glued and listen to the rest of the interview.
Rasco is the company that provides the best value with the highest level of customer service. And when I say best value, it's not about being the cheapest. It's about whether you are buying an entry-level garment or an extremely top-of-the-line complicated garment. We're going to find a way to create the best value for that garment, and then we're going to back it up with excellent customer service.
That's great. So I like that explanation. It doesn't. It's not necessarily about price. I'm imagine you're probably trying to get more wearing for the customer, so more uses.
Oh, exactly right. It comes down to just a philosophy that's kind of embedded in everyone who works for us. We want to make those garments that last forever. I like to think about, back in the day, if I don't know, there are these companies when you're growing up where I remember for me it was, I guess it's different for everybody else, but depending on the thing, but it was L Bean. I bought a pair of shoes and I wore them for 5 years and they had a lifetime guarantee and I sent them back in as a kid and I didn't think anything of it and they sent me a new pair of shoes and I couldn't understand, how that was possible. But for us, so we said as we started to build our products, how do we make these things last as long as possible and, put them out there for a good price?
Well, I think that's a good philosophy to have, getting value to the customer. So tell us a little bit about how Rasco got started.
So this is a good story. It's one of those American dream stories. We're a privately held, family-owned company, and our founder literally started the company in his garage. He started by in South Louisiana making welding caps and selling them to welders in Louisiana, and it took off. And then he started making welding shirts and, set up a production facility in South Louisiana, sewing. And it just kind of grew organically and by word of mouth. And then he, as FR started to take off, this is 32 years ago in 1988. At some point, it became a kind of the industry just started growing and entered other industries like oil and gas and utility. And the company kept growing and adapting and evolving organically. And it's just been, every day since then, we've been trying to grow a little more.
That's great. Everybody loves an underdog story like that, starting in the garage.
Right. Yeah. I know. It's amazing that it's one of the special things about where we live is that we live in this great country where that thing happens and it happens all the time.
Well, you talked about the growth of Rasco. How big is the FR market? And why should Universal Unilink members care about it?
This is an interesting market because I think that the thing that even we discovering is that it's even bigger than we realize. You think, of course, it's hard to say, and what I would say is that about 5 years ago there was an article where they in the Wall Street Journal, and they said it was about $1.7 billion a year, but since then, what's happened is they've just been tacking on more and more industries to that market. So, of course, the first one everyone thinks of is oil and gas. That's a no-brainer. But then you have utility workers, and that's an essential business that is practically recession-proof because we all need electricity. But beyond that, you start to see it emerging other places: welders, people working in food processing plants. Combustible dust is a new industry, so it's any facility that works with a dust that could ignite and cause a flash fire. And then you have this really interesting kind of blanket NFPA 70E, which is an electrical certification that can apply to almost anybody in that industry. And it just keeps growing and growing because if there's a risk in any sort of setting for a flash fire, which is a small explosion, or any kind of arc flash, which is when you get a shock from electricity, you need to be protected, and this clothing will save your life. So it just, I think there's just, as time goes on, we're finding there are more and more places where it legitimately needs to be used, and it can be a game changer for protecting people.
Absolutely. So you mentioned a lot of the different applications. Um, you cover quite a few safety standards uh, at Rasco. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's absolutely correct. The biggest, the kind of hot, the hottest one right now is that everyone's talking about is probably NFPA 2112, which is kind of started for oil and gas. It's a flash fire, but a lot of people rely upon that as a benchmark for other industries. The other one is NFPA 70E, which is for electrical, and that deals with something called an arc flash. I think that the way I would tell people to think of it is there's two major risks. One is the explosion or the kind of the flash fire, and the other is the arc flash, is electrical. Either one can cause burns on your body and injure you tremendously. But there's a lot of standards that come off of that. There's one called ASTM 1506, which is also electrical. But really, if you the way that I would say, if for someone approaching it who's not in the industry, is start off with what you're protecting against and go from there. And so we are certified by UL for these standards, and and test our stuff very rigorously to make sure it passes.
Well, that's great that you mentioned for people outside of the industry. If our members are, say, in the workwear, they're doing a lot of workwear sales or rental, but they're not as familiar with FR. Can you help them a little bit with that?
Oh, absolutely. I think anyone in our team would be delighted to help them, whether it's talking to someone in our customer service team or one of our sales persons, or having them even come on site. I know that's a funny thought right now because we're recording during this pandemic and social distancing, but we that's something we are happy. And it doesn't. I want to stress this: we don't care if your members are actually buying from us at the time. If they're interested in learning more about it and they haven't bought a dollar worth of product, we're still happy to extend all of that to them as a courtesy.
Wow, that's a great offer. Hope members
Well,
take you up on that.
oh, they should, even if they think there's an inkling they could sell it, they should learn about it just so it's in their back pocket, because it is the kind of thing, it's a safety standard and it can truly save lives. And I think what my recommendation to them is learn about, take 5 minutes, take 30 minutes, learn about it, have it written down somewhere, and have it in your back pocket. So when you see that opportunity with a customer or a potential customer, you can say, what about this? Is this something you could use?
Yes, that's. I think that's key in sales is knowing the right questions to ask, and especially if you go back to what you commented about earlier, if you're putting clothing into the workforce that could potentially save lives, so it's a pretty big deal.
Oh, for sure. And it's just it really would, one of the craziest things is when you see the letters for people who are unfortunate enough to have an accident and they're wearing the clothing. And I know that's something we talk across the industry with all the companies who do this. It just gives you chills because it makes that difference, and it's a lifesaver. So if everybody, I think one of the things that's interesting is, even with all the talk about it, there's so many people who are in these industries, well, people who are working in the field who don't know enough about this. And if everyone takes the moment and learns a little more, that could lead not only to more business but to more awareness and potentially saving someone's life down the road.
Exactly. So aside from the fact that the workwear you produce can save lives, it also has a very unique look. In fact, some of the folks here at Universal Unilink say have commented, I wouldn't mind wearing that on the weekend. So is
Oh,
that something that is on purpose?
absolutely, and we're really flattered to hear that it's such a positive review from your team. Yeah, we try to make, we've always felt internally that if people don't like what they're wearing, they're going to be, when they're on that shift, they're going to be thinking about it, and it's gonna lead them not to being a little distracted. If it's not something they like, and even worse, this is actually the worst thing you hear sometimes is, if they don't like it, they're not going to wear it. Because, at the end of the day, at these facilities, you really can't police what people are doing. So we said, let's make something that they actually want to wear and they enjoy wearing, both the style and the comfort level as well. FR fabric has come a long way. Back in the days, 20 years ago, when it was being developed, it was stiff. Maybe it had a little bit of smell. It was not, you wouldn't certainly wear it after work at a casual outing.
Right.
So we've really worked to get, comfortable fabrics that are durable, that don't shrink, and then in styles that people actually want to wear.
Was speaking of style, you offer a wide selection of FR for women. Is that a growing segment?
Absolutely, and that's something we really, we feel very strongly about. Is that even we think that we should be able to offer the styles equally to both men and women. So we're constantly trying to find more options for women and put them into the market. There's going to be even with this crazy year, we're looking forward to releasing some styles. So we're pretty excited about that.
The FR garments from Rasco, are they industrial laundry friendly?
Good question. It depends. So everything is marked very clearly in our materials, our spec sheets, or our catalog, or on our website as well. And it depends on what the fabric's made of typically. So our entry level items are usually made of 100% FR treated cotton, and that is not recommended for IL. But we have a full line that we've launched that is IL. Most of it's working with U.S. made fabric, particularly Westex and from Glenraven as well. We have pretty strong partnerships with the two of them, and so we offer a pretty affordable but great value like IL line. That's just we're really excited about.
Well, fantastic. I mean, that hits pretty much most of our members. So
Good.
I hope they take a look at you guys. And if they do want to take a look at Rasco, what's the best way for members to get started?
Whatever, for us, they can call us, email us, whatever is most convenient for them. We're happy to send them a sample, to have someone come and meet with them, whatever is, whatever they're used to doing. It's our job to serve them. So they show up and say, this is what we need, however they want to handle it, we're going to bend over backwards to accommodate them.
Okay. So website is?
It's www.rasco.com.
Okay, we'll make sure that we have a link for that here on the page. And any phone numbers that you would want to give out?
Oh yeah, so the main line is 225-273-3163, and that's the main line. That's probably the easiest phone number to call. And then they could email. Probably the easiest email if they're coming in. It's orders@rasco.com if it's an order, but if they have a question, support@rasco.
All right. So before we end the call, Tarek, what else would you like members to know?
I think that what I would say to members is this. If you look at our material, our catalog, our website, if you talk to us, you're going to see what we offer and we currently stock. But at the end of the day, what I think this kind of speaks to how the apparel industry is changing. We really, at the end of the day, are a solutions provider. And what that means is come to us with your challenges, with your ideas, with your problems, and let us work with you to fix them. So if there's something you need that's slightly different or is completely different, maybe there's a way we can work together to figure it out. That's something I think is different from our company. We really feel that we're in the business of providing solutions. And it's not about this is what the shirt we offer and we don't have another shirt. Maybe we can, if you need something different, if there's a customer who needs that problem solved, we're going to work to solve that problem. And the second thing I would say behind that is it goes to our kind of our core philosophy as a company is that we are, I would say, almost militant about partnership. We're extraordinarily loyal and we value our partnerships. And so for us, having the opportunity to be a part of Universal Unilink is just a great opportunity. We want to step up and really support the members. So, however we can do that, I think, please, I ask your members, challenge us, and let's see what we can do together.
Well, I hope they do challenge you and give you a call and start getting some samples in their hands. I really appreciate the time for the call.
Marty, thank you so much for allowing me to get on the call with you. I really appreciate it.